Gary Gensler, I thought you were supposed to be good for crypto, man. We had high hopes for you. Man, it's not looking good. So Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, many of us, myself included at the time when he became the SEC chair, had some positive hopes for the guy that perhaps given his background in blockchain, him understanding the technology, him having taught a class on blockchain at MIT University, that perhaps he would understand how the environment works and perhaps go easy on the regulation. But it seems the complete opposite. Gary Gensler is going all in. It seems like he wants full control and he wants increased scope to regulate how and what he wants. And his latest meeting with the Senate and the lawmakers at the committee showed exactly that. I mean, he was asking for extra power, extra scope under his jurisdiction to be able to regulate some of the things which he deems is an issue. He referred to the market as a Wild West. I mean, he used very powerful language to say Wild West and buyer beware market. He regularly mentioned that, people are taking risks on that platform, which we understand. But here's the things he wants to target. So the first thing he seems to have a bee in his bonnet about are stable coins. Now, look, we've spoke about this at length on this channel. We know there is a potential rehypothecation risk, and I'm pro-regulation to an extent, but he's just going too far and he's not making it clear what exactly he's doing. So let's touch upon stablecoins. So we know in the normal fractional reserve banking system, you get the rehypothecation of assets all the time, right? You deposit your money into a bank and it gets lent and lent and lent. And if ever you were to do a run on the bank, if everybody did that today, you would not get your money, okay? We've seen that happen numerous times with the banking system before. That same trouble is happening with stablecoins, right? But why is Gary Gensler going so hard after stablecoins? Now, he's even gone as far as to say he wouldn't rule out stablecoins being a security. Now, anybody who understands the law around how you define a security, there's a test called the Howey test. And this came up in the meeting of the lawmakers. And one of the criteria for which is shown in the Howey test, which is used as the measure, is you need to have an expectation of profit for something to be deemed a security. Now, we all know when somebody buys a stablecoin, it's a stablecoin. You trade 10 US dollars for 10 USDT or USDC, a stablecoin. You don't expect that to go up or down. You expect it to be 10 again. Okay, so that completely nullifies the third measure of the Howey test, which is you need the expectation of a profit. Therefore, by the definition, it's not deemed a security. Now, when asked that, and I love the question by Senator Pat Toomey, he put that to Gary Gensler, and Gary Gensler didn't answer the question. He wriggled around and he says, but the Howey test isn't fully encompassing, and he says there's a whole bunch of other securities which aren't deemed a security by the Howey test, and it's just so confusing. And this ties in exactly with the second thing he seems to be going after. So we made a video here on the channel about Coinbase and how they were served a Wells notice for their lend program. So the SEC served a Wells notice which basically means we're going to take legal action if you don't stop this against Coinbase, because Coinbase were launching their Coinbase lend program. So if anybody deposits USDC in a Coinbase account, they were going to offer 4% yield to that investor. Okay, this is how stablecoins tend to work. Now, what Gary Gensler is saying is Coinbase should be registered as a stock exchange. So he's saying it's their responsibility to register as a stock exchange, and he's saying many of the tokens on Coinbase are deemed as securities. Now, Brian Armstrong publicly went to Twitter and he probably went to a bit too deep in on Gary Gensler, saying that, look, we, in essence, and I completely can have empathy for his position, we want to just know what the framework is we need to operate within. Please make it clear to us. We don't want to break any laws, but please make it clear to us. We tried to reach out to you, SEC. We didn't hear back from you. We're using the Howey test, but now you're saying that's not enough. What are we supposed to use? What are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to do in this space? And in this latest meeting, it seems as though Gary Gensler is now alluding to the idea that staking and lending will likely, he uses the word likely, fall under SEC jurisdiction. Okay, so that's stable coins he's going after. He's going after the lending and staking, anyone with lending and staking offerings, as well as obviously the tokens, which we've discussed, any token which is deemed as security. We saw that with the XRP case. And then finally comes on to the tax issue. So it wasn't just regulatory battles. Congress are also trying to eliminate the ability for crypto investors to take losses on transactions. So normally, if you were to sell your crypto at a loss, you bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you sold at a loss, you could buy back into Bitcoin and still write the loss off on your tax write-off. Now you can't. So they're saying under the change of this law, which could go into force by 2021, you will need to wait 30 days before buying back into that security. Otherwise, you won't be eligible for a tax write-off. So those are three key areas which Gary Gensler seems to be really going after. I mean, he's clearly got his bee in his bonnet around trying to regulate. And I've said this before, I don't have an issue with regulation per se, but I believe it's got to be done in a clear, easily communicated way. So companies and the operators in this space, which are all young companies, are moving quickly. This space is developing quickly. They need to know what is the framework. What are they allowed to do? What are they not allowed to do? And then punish them after that. But like Senator Pat Toomey says, to be taking action on a company for items which you've not clearly communicated to them about what's right or what's wrong it's silly, right? It's counterproductive. It doesn't make sense. You're going to scare off companies who want to be building great products in this exciting space. And that's one thing the Western world and the US particular shouldn't be doing. They should be encouraging these companies to be building these platforms. It should be a safe haven for these companies to experiment, to explore, to do things within a framework. I'm not saying let everybody pump and dump and abuse investors and have no security or no regulation. I'm saying have regulation, but have it in a clearly communicated, transparent way. You know, let the head of Gemini, USDC, Tether, Brian Armstrong at Coinbase, Gary Gensler sit in a room, discuss it, and resolve these issues, right? Sam Bankman-Fried at FTX. Let all the big players in these companies sit down and discuss what's a fair framework, and then implement it, communicate it clearly, and then hold them accountable to that. But to be roaming around, on CNBC saying one thing and saying stable coins could well be a security. We're investigating Uniswap. Oh, we've sent a Wells notice to Coinbase. Staking and lending is going to fall under SEC jurisdiction. I mean, that's not a way a professional organization should be operating. And for one of the biggest commissions in the States, it's embarrassing, really. So there you go, guys. That's my rant on Gary Gensler trying to get as much power as he possibly can to regulate crypto, as if he's not got enough power. He's asking for more of a remit and more ability to do as much as he can and control the environment. And he still thinks it's the Wild West. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see how this space develops over the next few months. No doubt there will be more updates, and we'll see you in the next one.